Well, good morning everybody. It's 8:10 and I've just woken up in the last 10 minutes. I had a pee in the porch just over there and I've put the kettle on and that's about it so far. So I thought I'd say good morning to everybody. Ideally we want to try and get going for 10 this morning, so I've put the kettle on. I'm going to make a tea and then I'll put the kettle on again for breakfast. So we've got a different setup this time. For my Dartmoor trips I was using this Avenue 570 and I have to say it worked very well once I'd figured out the burner issue, which is basically a teeny top like that with some flame resistant material in. And I've done a video on it which you would have seen by now, but the whole cooking system is 108, not including the cup and spoons, but the cooking system, the cone, the burner, the pot, 118 grams and is very, very efficient. It's obviously not very big, 570 grams, it's like 570 mil. In fact, I think the pot, whilst it's a 570 pot, I think is 450 to about that point there. So the 570 would be literally bubbling over. I had a good night's sleep. It was a little bit cool. I wasn't cold, but I was definitely a bit cool. But I think if you're a little bit cool, I think it's fine. I think the thing where you have to be really careful though is not to let yourself get too cold, because I have heard stories where people have had layers and loads of clothing and they've like frozen to death because they couldn't be bothered to put things on, you know. So I had plenty. I was never ever going to be cold. I was so sleepy lazy. I had this jacket in the sleeping bag with me and I was so sleepy lazy I couldn't even be bothered to put it on, and it was in the sleeping bag. So I wrapped it around my head, or kind of pulled it up over my head, and my head was like a furnace, and the rest of my body was a bit shivery. A bit ridiculous, really. But anyway, I'm gonna have this tea and get the burner on again, because we do want to try and get going. I've put power into everything as I used it last night. And I'm just topping up the iPhone right now. Although bizarrely that stopped. I wonder if it stopped because it's a bit cool. Maybe just put it, you see, I mean, it is cooling down a little bit. So I'll try and get the solar panel up and running. Today. Oh. So yeah, let's get breakfast on. And then I'll have more tea. So I bought 3 500ml platypus, but they only hold 450. So I've got 3 lots of 450 methylated spirits for up to 7 nights, and that should be more than enough if we take 7 nights. It depends how long we take. So we've left camp, and this is a sea lock. So obviously that's the highest waterfall in Great Britain, leading down here. So you can see the tide is out. You can see it comes up a little bit. There's some green grass and green grass over there where it probably doesn't quite cover much, if at all. Seaweed down there. So maybe very rarely the sea gets up here, but mostly it seems to be down that level down there. So low tide at the moment in this sea lock. As you can see, a very low tide here. Go through there, up there through that gate, and then kind of weave our way. Not quite sure where we go once we get up there. Maybe follow the fence, but I'm not quite sure. I can certainly see that we weave some of the way up there, but we're going to head up this hill here and down the other side. Right, you can just see the bothy down there, and it's a pretty decent, it's a 4x4 trail up here. I don't know what kind of vehicle it would be, a little quad bike or something, but it's definitely a bike, you know, a 4x4 vehicle thing. Anyway, you can see how this is a well made, because that probably would have been boggy through there, with this coming down here, and then they put those stones in there to keep the path in good condition, and then the bogginess goes down that way. So this is here a pretty decent path.
we've kind of come around that headland and then around this headland to get round here, and then we've got to go around this one. So we're nearly leaving this valley. You can see the little yellow tree, the waterfall, camp at the bottom, and then we're heading up this way. I'm not sure, but I think we've got to go down here and then around that lock and then into that valley over there, and I think we might be camping in that valley. Starting to get, the insects are starting to appear. We had quite a few midges in camp when we arrived in camp last night, but luckily they didn't hang around too long. But we've got these funny little flying things that cling us. And we're making our way. This side is very wet and boggy. We're making our way around, and we're gonna head over to the bothy on the other side, and then we're either going to stay near the bothy or walk along there and see if we can see something down there. We're gonna get there and have a look. Loads of these are slowing down stone things. Yeah, the flying things are starting to come out now, which is a pain. They came out last evening as well. Anyway, we're gonna concentrate on walking through this funny forest thing. Wow, little wood. Be careful. It's a little bit slippery. Some of these rocks and stones. Eee. So there's your sea lock. Tide's coming in, water level's probably just down there, but once in a blue moon probably gets up this far. Yeah. Bit of seaweed there. Right on the, almost at the seaside now. Like I said, that is an open water lock, a sea lock. That will be salty water. So we definitely couldn't be drinking from that one.
That is very late for a foxglove, even at sea level.
Oh, this is the head of this sea lock up here. And there's some quite nice waterfalls coming down there. Oh, it's 6:15 and I got a head torch on. And it's daylight. And we've got a bothy behind us. So tonight I'm a virgin bothier. So we're gonna use the bothy tonight. Now that might change. If other people turn up, then we'll probably both come outside and pitch our tents and sleep outside. But if no one else turns up, then I'm going to have that room, Chris is going to have that room, and yeah, we're going to be in the bothy. It's quite strange because when I started this wild camping thing, 12 years ago, my one rule was I was going to camp outside and I was never going to use a campsite, or I would avoid a campsite like the plague. And to be honest, I've always avoided bothies. Campsite, I couldn't imagine camping in a campsite. I think that would be horrible, and I really would avoid that. But as long as no one else turns up, and there is rain forecast to start sometime in the early hours of the morning, and all day rain tomorrow. So I must admit, part of me is thinking, well, I can put my waterproofs on and all my waterproof stuff under cover and then come out in the rain and get walking. We were hoping to have got a little bit further down, but the going was quite slow along there, and we didn't get going until 11 o'clock this morning, and you can't completely blame me for that. So yeah, so we were a little bit behind this morning. So we got here just after 5, and it was kind of like that time where there's nothing for 3 kilometers, and then there's a possible spot, but we could see something from the other side looking across, that's possible. And then you got to go up into the valley. If we'd have got here at 4 o'clock, then we probably would have gone down there and had a look, and then if there was, then we would have got further, and if there wasn't, then we would have, you know, we could have carried on and still had enough daylight. But given that light is, you know, going to fade, so hopefully, I hope no one else turns up. I don't think they will. Famous last words. But it is coming up to 6 o'clock. Although Chris did say people can turn up at any time of night, but he thinks that this bothy is quite remote and, you know, not so likely to have someone wandering in, so we'll take a chance on it. And there is an upstairs, there are some steps to go up, and there's 2 upstairs rooms, but I'm not going to go up the stairs. I went up the stairs, and then when I got to the top of the stairs go right up to the angled roof, and my head smacked right into the roof. So I'm definitely not going upstairs because the steps are quite steep, and if I'm half asleep, I really don't want to be you know, coming down those steps half asleep. Hobbs breaks his neck in a bothy, not even camping. So anyway, we've got water. We're going to set up inside. Well, we won't take all the camping, sleeping stuff out. We'll basically wait until after dark and see whether anyone turns up, and we can set up sleeping stuff at 7:30, 8 o'clock. You know, we'll have a look what we get up to, but I think we're going to get the kettle on first. So bedding and such like still in there, so we'll just leave that in there. I've taken my trousers off because they're a bit wet, and I brought my down trousers, so I put them on. I put that on the floor. I put my sealskin socks on, so they're nice and cozy and dry. Shoes, wet socks, wet shoes, and rubbish. Take all your rubbish with you. Obviously gloves, that's my fuel. Leads, which I want for charging things. So the power bank I'm currently using is that one. And then over here we've got water. I think I'll get some soup going first, and then I've got my homemade dinner which I'll have later, breakfast, and then I've got to sort out food for tomorrow, and that's my cup. So that's Chris's little table, and that's a very smart, tidy table. We're going to have to ban Chris from coming into the other room and looking at my table. It looks like a pair of monkeys have just deposited everything on the table. It does look very smart. It looks very nice and tasty.
Just having everything to hand.
Yes.